There is a stirring beneath the surface of your life, a whisper older than time, drawing you inward. It is not a new teaching, nor a distant mystery. It is the eternal law moving through you, awaiting your remembrance. For what you behold, you become. What you fix your gaze upon with feeling, you summon forth into the garden of your days. As you sit now, breathing in the silence between words, you are already sowing seeds unseen into the soil of tomorrow. And yet, most drift as though blindfolded, their minds scattered across 1,000 anxious fields. They do not see that attention is the hand of God in action. They do not hear the commandment whispered in every breath. Look unto me, and be ye saved. For to focus is to fuse, and to fuse is to call forth. You are the living temple. Within you the altar of imagination stands always lit, and the offering laid upon it is your attention. Every image you entertain, every feeling you indulge, is incense rising to heaven, shaping the form of your earthly experience. You have never been a victim of circumstance. You have only ever been a faithful priest, worshipping unknowingly at the shrine of your dominant focus. Notice what shifts in you as this truth begins to settle. There is a quiet power, ancient and immediate, awakening at the edges of your being. You have been given dominion, not as a burden, but as a birthright. Choose ye this day whom you will serve, not by the work of your hands, but by the gaze of your heart. And yet, how subtle the drift. How easy it is to nod at such a truth, and then walk away, still imprisoned by appearances. For the world will mirror your gaze with ruthless precision. To gaze upon lack and call it real, is to bind yourself to it. To behold abundance within, though the senses scream otherwise, is to break the chains and walk free. This brings us to what most never realize. The outer world is never the cause, but always the echo. It is not substance, but shadow. It is not command, but obedience. You are the only causative power within your own life, for consciousness alone is reality. Sit with this. Feel its weight and its wonder. If you would change the song of your life, you must change the tuning of your inner ear. If you would alter the harvest, you must cast new seeds with your inward gaze. No one else is responsible. No event is greater than your secret focus. But there is a reason few ever experience this directly. It is not for lack of instruction, but for lack of stillness. In the clamor of divided attention, the soul's creative voice is drowned. As it is written, "Be still, and know that I am God." Not by frantic effort, not by the anxious rearranging of effects, but by serene assumption does the world bow to your decree. Feel it now, the gentle invitation pulling you deeper into yourself. As you hear these words, something within you stirs, remembering the effortless power it once knew. You are not here to strive, but to remember, not to seek outwardly, but to turn within, and behold the treasure already yours. Picture now a mirror, vast and silent, stretched out before you. Every thought, every feeling, is etched upon its surface and returned to you in form. Would you then gaze with trembling upon the fleeting appearances of fear? Or would you steady your vision, beholding only the loveliness you wish to see reflected? This sacred mirror never judges, never corrects. It simply returns. Return unto it your heart's highest song, and behold the resurrection of your dreams. And as that image takes shape within you, steady and radiant, a deeper mystery calls from beyond the mirror itself. For what if even the reflection is but the first veil, hiding a greater power still? There, beyond the first shimmer of reflection, lies the deeper sanctuary where form is born in secret. It is not enough to polish the surface of the mirror, nor to dress the shadow in finer clothes. You are called to step beyond the mirror itself, into the Holy of Holies, where thought and being are one. For you are not the image, you are the light that casts it. You are not the echo, you are the voice behind the hills. What you focus upon is merely what you have agreed to believe. And belief is the golden scepter of creation. Feel now the hush that falls over the inner temple when you no longer chase the forms, but behold the formless cause. The heart grows still. The breath deepens. You see with an eye not made by man, and you hear with an ear untouched by the world. Most assume that focus is effort, a straining of the will against the tides of circumstance. But the divine truth is gentler. Focus is surrender. It is the soft, unwavering resting of the soul upon its chosen image. It is the way a child stares at a star, unblinking, unafraid, utterly consumed by wonder. Notice how the world has trained you otherwise. It demands that you be vigilant, anxious, restless in your attention, as though fear could guard what only love can sustain. But you are called to another way, a narrower path paved not with striving, but with sacred selection. Choose you this day, said the voice of old, not tomorrow, not when the evidence appears, but now in the unseen quiet, where true power moves. When you choose to dwell inwardly in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you have chosen life. You have crossed the invisible threshold, where miracles are born. Imagine now that every thought, every silent agreement you make within yourself, is a seed cast into the fertile ground of being. You cannot plant a thorn and reap a rose. You cannot sow despair and harvest joy. The law is perfect, immutable, as certain as sunrise. Yet this is no cause for fear, but for rejoicing, for it means you are never at the mercy of what appears. The river of life bends to the shore you gaze upon. Shift your focus, and the very current of your destiny shifts with it. Feel the truth of this stirring within you, not as a cold idea, but as a living flame. You have looked too long upon shadows, and called them kings. You have bowed to phantoms, and wept at empty altars. But now the light rises within you, quiet and irresistible, calling you home. And as you awaken to this, the inner sky clears. You see that the world is not happening to you, it is happening through you, as you. Each scene, each meeting, each seeming chance, is but your own consciousness externalized. If you would change the scenery, you must first sit in the theater of your mind, and write new lines upon your heart. You must see the end you desire, not as a distant hope, but as a present possession. You must feel its warmth, taste its sweetness, wear its robe as your own. For what you focus upon in imagination, you weave into the tapestry of waking life. It may seem slow at first, a mere whisper against the roar of old habits, but persist, and the whisper becomes a word, the word becomes flesh, and the invisible becomes the inevitable. Rest now in this knowing, for you are nearer to the holy center than you have ever been. Already something stirs in the unseen, the fruit of seeds long buried, the echo of prayers you dared to whisper in the secret hour. But even this is but the outer court of mystery, for there is a greater wonder still hidden in the folds of being, a mystery so simple that the mind overlooks it, and yet so powerful that it reshapes the stars themselves. The mind, eager for spectacle, often overlooks the silent seed. It seeks thunder and lightning. But the kingdom of heaven moves like yeast in the dough, like a mustard seed in the silent earth. It is within the smallest focus that the greatest transformations begin. Consider now the simplicity of your power. To assume a state inwardly is to clothe yourself with it. It is to walk unseen across the threshold of time, and to inhabit the land of promise before your feet have touched its soil. You become what you behold within, and the world bends itself in perfect fidelity to the image you have worn in the chambers of your imagination. It has never been by laboring hands or striving minds that mountains were moved. It has always been by the quiet certainty of one who dared to assume the unseen as already seen. When ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them, not later, now. Feel the ease of this truth sinking into you, as soft and inevitable as twilight folding over the hills. You are not asked to force the seed to grow. You are asked only to know that it is planted, and to live in the joy of its harvest as though it were already yours. Most waver because they do not understand that appearances are old echoes. They look at the hardened field and say, there is no harvest, forgetting that the field only reflects yesterday's sowing. Faith is the art of seeing beyond the dust, of hearing the rain in the cloudless sky, of rejoicing before the fruit has appeared. And so, beloved, what are you focusing upon even now? What garments are you weaving for tomorrow with the invisible threads of your thought? Are you dressing yourself in lack, in fear, in waiting? Or are you clothing yourself in the robes of fulfillment, feeling the weight of your answered prayer upon your shoulders? The choice is forever yours, and therein lies the freedom that so few dare to accept. To focus is to create, to assume is to birth, to imagine is to touch the face of God. You do not beg the sun to rise. You do not plead with the seed to become the rose. You know with a knowing deeper than words that life fulfills itself according to the image held within. So too with you. The life you know in imagination, you will know in flesh. There is no competition in the kingdom, no striving against others, no anxious race to the prize. You are not racing toward your blessing, you are awakening to it. You are not pulling it to you, you are unveiling it within you. This is why stillness is so vital. In stillness you cease scattering your focus upon 1,000 lesser things. In stillness you gather your being into one flame, one song, one holy assumption, and what you become inwardly, the world cannot help but mirror. Feel now that sacred gathering within you, as though all the loose threads of your life are drawing together into a single golden strand. There is nothing to add, nothing to chase, only to know, and to rest in the knowing. And yet even now, a question arises, subtle and persistent. If all this is so, why do so few dare to believe fully? Why do so many cling to the visible, even when the visible brings only sorrow? The answer lies hidden, not in the world without, but in the soil of the soul, for there is a deeper law still at work, one that determines not only what you focus upon, but what you are willing to receive. And it is to this hidden soil, this unseen agreement of the heart, that we now must turn our gaze. The soil of the soul is not made of thought alone, but of deep-rooted identity. What you focus upon is governed not merely by conscious will, but by the subterranean belief of who you are. And so, though many affirm abundance, they secretly wear the garments of lack. Though they pray for healing, they inwardly touch the wounds again and again, fastening them closer to the body. The world yields to who you believe yourself to be. It is not enough to gaze at the promise. You must step into the promised land within, and call it home. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, not merely in his words, but in the silent, unseen agreements of his being. Feel how quietly this truth moves through you, like a warm current beneath still waters. It does not accuse, it does not condemn. It simply reveals that you are the operant power, that you have always been. Every moment, you are choosing, not with effort, but with being. You are focusing, not with strain, but with identification. The focus of the soul is not a frantic pointing of the mind. It is the natural gravity of what you have claimed as your own within. When you realize this, striving falls away. There is no need to chase the dream. You are called instead to become it, inwardly holy, until the world must reflect it as surely as the moon reflects the hidden sun. Imagine now that within you there is a garden, ancient and sacred. Every feeling you harbor, every assumption you water, grows into form within this inner Eden. You cannot sow one seed and reap another. Life, ever faithful, brings forth after its kind. The secret, then, is to tend this garden with love, with vigilance born not of fear, but of joy. You turn your attention gently, but firmly away from the weeds of doubt, and behold only the rose already blooming in your heart. This is not denial of what appears. It is deeper fidelity to what is unseen but truer. The senses may scream their evidence, but the senses are messengers, not masters. They proclaim yesterday's faith. They do not decree tomorrow's form. Feel now the deep breath of freedom this brings. You are released from the tyranny of appearances. You are no longer bound to react to the outer picture. You are invited instead to create from within, serenely, joyfully, as a child paints the sky with stars of his own imagining. And even as you listen now, there are inner fields shifting, old roots loosening, new seeds quickening to life. You need not know the how. You need only trust the law, that what you consistently focus upon in the assumption of already having, you must inevitably experience. To him that hath shall be given. To the one who already holds the feeling, the state, the inner possession, the outer world rushes to pour out its treasure. Let the old story fall away, like worn garments at your feet. You do not need to fix what was. You need only to embody what is now unfolding within you, and what you embody, the world will witness. Yet there is a tender threshold still to cross, a hidden gate that many approach, but few truly enter. For even as you assume the new state, even as you cultivate the garden, there is one more sacred act that seals the transformation, an act so simple, so profound, that it remains veiled to those still clinging to effort and control. It is here, in this final surrender of the heart, that the greatest alchemy occurs, and it is this unseen act that prepares the way for the fullness of your manifested harvest. It is the surrender of possession, the silent offering of your dream back to the altar from which it came. It is the sacred act of releasing, as one who has already received, and now rests in the certainty of fulfillment. You do not clutch at the dream like a beggar, fearing loss. You hold it lightly, joyfully, as one holds the sunbeam, knowing it is part of you, inseparable, assured. This is the moment of true possession, when you no longer ask if it will come, when you no longer strain to hold it fast, but when you live inwardly in the quiet joy that it is already so. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass, not by your grasping, but by your resting in the unseen cause. Feel now the difference stirring within you. To focus with hunger is to confess separation. To focus with fulfillment is to confess unity. You are not chasing what you desire. You are remembering that it is already part of you, blooming in the secret places of your being. In this sacred remembering, time bends, and the hard soil softens. What seemed distant draws near. What once appeared impossible dissolves in the light of your certainty. Imagine a seed planted deep in the earth. The farmer does not dig it up each day to check its progress. He waters it. He shields it. He walks among his fields, already tasting the harvest in his heart. So must you walk among the gardens of your imagination, breathing in the fragrance of fulfillment, before the first bud appears. This is the true faith, not a hollow belief in effort, but a living awareness of completed creation. Your focus is not upon the striving, but upon the being. Your attention does not cling to the absence, but rests in the presence already known inwardly. Even now, as you breathe and listen, you can feel the burden lifting. You are not here to force the river, but to align with its course. You are not here to command the stars, but to recognize that they move according to the music you have already played within. Rest in the sweetness of this knowing. Rest in the deep assurance that the work is finished in the unseen. All that remains is for you to embody it, to wear it with the simple dignity of one who knows. And yet, even in this sacred release, a deeper invitation stirs. For there is an even more profound mystery hidden within your focus, one that transcends even the fulfillment of your personal desires. Beyond the garden of your own dreams lies the greater remembrance that you are not merely the sower of seeds, but the very ground itself. You are not merely one who chooses visions. You are the living consciousness in which all visions arise. This awareness, when touched even for a moment, dissolves the last veil. It lifts you from the position of seeker to the throne of being. It reveals that all you have ever sought was seeking you only because it was already yours in truth. And so the path turns inward once again, drawing you deeper than desire, deeper than even fulfillment, toward the source from which all things flow, a source so close that it breathes through your very being, whispering the eternal truth that you are not apart from life, but life itself. And as you feel the breath of life moving quietly within you, you realize there has never been a true separation between yourself and the manifestation you sought. It was always a game of remembrance, a lifting of the veil, a return to what was already yours in the beginning. You are the vine, not a branch severed and wandering, but the whole living vine through which the sap of creation endlessly flows. I am the vine, you are the branches. Every vision you entertain, every longing that arises, is but the whisper of the vine calling its own fruit forth into visibility. No longer do you focus as one pleading for proof. You focus as the vine itself, knowing that the fruits will ripen naturally according to your inward season. You gaze now not to get, but to give expression to what is already yours in the realm where all things are finished. Feel how differently the heart moves in this knowing. No striving, no bargaining, only being. Only the simple, majestic act of inwardly claiming yourself as you truly are, the source clothed in form, the dreamer awakening within his own dream. The old way falls away like mist before the rising sun. No longer do you measure time by appearances. No longer do you measure progress by the outer world. You feel within yourself the hidden river moving, and you know by that inner current that your harvest is certain. Each time you rest your attention upon the desired state, you are not sending a message into the void. You are pressing your signature upon reality itself. Each time you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are breathing life into the formless clay of substance. And if the outer world should mock you with delay, you smile, for you know it is powerless to defy the law. He calleth those things which be not as though they were, not as wishful thinking, but as a royal decree issued from the throne of inner conviction. You move gently through your days, not grasping, not chasing, but letting the light of your assumed reality shine quietly through all that you do, and the shadows yield before you, for they have no will of their own. Notice now how the body softens, how the breath deepens, how even thought slows to a sacred stillness. You are no longer striving to become. You are resting in the awareness that you already are. And yet even deeper, a quieter mystery awaits, one that does not seek to make the dream real, but to recognize that the dream and the dreamer are one. There is no separation between you and the life you perceive. The world is not outside of you, but within you. Every person, every scene, every unfolding event is but your own consciousness made visible. And what you focus upon with belief, You draw closer, not by force but by resonance, by the simple magnetism of being. This is why the wise walk lightly upon the earth, rejoicing without clinging, sowing without fear, for they know that all things are but reflections of the inner life, the great and holy mirror of the soul. And so you walk forward now, not in haste, but in stillness, carrying within you the seed of certainty, the song of fulfillment, the fragrance of unseen gardens in bloom. Yet even as you walk, the invitation deepens, calling you not only to focus, not only to assume, but to dissolve completely into the awareness that you are already all that you seek. And beyond even this lies a revelation so vast, so intimate, that it can only be entered in sacred silence, a silence that even now begins to open within you. In the hush of that deepening silence, you touch the edge of a truth too vast for words, too intimate for thought. You begin to sense, with a knowing beyond understanding, that the life you seek to create and the life you already are were never two. The veil of effort falls away. The illusion of distance dissolves. What you once called future bends itself into the present, for there is only the eternal now, and you are its radiant center. No longer must you gather your focus like a weapon against the tides. You allow it to flow like a river, returning to its source. You do not command the light to shine. You recognize that you are the light, and its shining is as effortless as your being. Softly, steadily, you rest into the awareness that there is no gap to bridge, no prayer unanswered, no dream denied. In the silent sanctuary of being, you realize that desire itself was the answer in disguise, the proof of possession already given. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. Such is the promise woven into the very fabric of your soul. Your every true longing is the echo of fulfillment, seeking to express itself through you. Feel now how the heart loosens its grip, how the mind ceases its restless wandering. You are not here to chase shadows. You are here to remember the light behind them. And so you focus, not with strain, but with surrender. You assume, not with trembling hope, but with regal certainty. You live, not reaching outward, but resting inwardly in the feast already prepared for you. The banquet table of your life is set. The robes of your inheritance hang ready. The crown of fulfilled being rests lightly upon your brow. You have only to step into the house of your own consciousness and partake. It is so simple that the reasoning mind stumbles. It is so immediate that the seeking heart nearly overlooks it. And yet, here it is, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. You attract not by pleading, not by striving, but by being. Your world does not respond to your efforts to make it yield. It bows naturally to the truth you embody in the quiet chambers of your soul. Even now, can you feel it shifting? The ground beneath appearance is trembling, rearranging itself to mirror the song you are singing within. It need not be loud. It need not be forceful. A whisper sung from the depth of being carries the power to call forth mountains. And so you sing in silence. You assume in stillness. You focus without fear. You walk as one who knows that every seed of assumption blossoms in its appointed hour. Yet beyond even this flowering of dreams, beyond the fulfillment of desire, lies an even greater wonder, one that calls to you now, gently, insistently, a wonder not of creation alone, but of union, of awakening to the eternal truth, that what you create and what you are but two faces of the same holy light. This union is not earned, nor achieved, nor discovered as some distant treasure. It is the unveiling of what has always been. It is the gentle falling away of every thought of separation, every belief in distance, every whisper of delay. You are not a vessel waiting to be filled. You are the spring itself, pouring forth without end. Every desire that stirs within you is not a signal of lack, but a stirring of remembrance. The first movement of a song, already complete. It was never about drawing to you what was far. It was always about awakening to what had never left. You focus now not as a seeker, but as the source. You assume not as one reaching toward fulfillment, but as fulfillment reaching through you into the fabric of the seen world. Your assumption is not a request, it is a revelation. Feel now the depth of stillness that opens within you, a stillness so vast that even thought dares not disturb it, a stillness in which all things are already accomplished, already spoken, already complete. This stillness is not empty, it is radiant with life. It is the womb from which all form is born, the silent chamber where the word is spoken and made flesh. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This beginning is not behind you, it is within you now. Each assumption you hold, each focus you choose, is a new word spoken into the silence, and the silence, ever faithful, clothes your word in flesh. You cannot help but create. You cannot help but call forth reflections of your inner life. Every breath, every beat of your heart, is an act of divine generation. Therefore you focus with reverence, you assume with awe, you live with the quiet majesty of one who knows that to imagine is to begin, and to feel is to finish. You are not asking life to bless you. You are blessing life by your seeing, your knowing, your unwavering focus upon the good, the beautiful, the true. Even when appearances seem to contradict your vision, you do not flinch. You understand that appearances are echoes, and you no longer live by echoes. You live by the living voice within you, the voice that calls things not yet seen as though they were. And as you walk in this holy remembrance, the world softens around you. Doors open, walls crumble, paths appear where none seemed possible. But these are only the outer signs of a far greater transformation, the transformation of your own being into the image of its original perfection. You begin to see, with eyes cleansed of fear, that there was never anything missing, never anything broken, never anything truly lost. You have only ever been called to awaken, to look within, and behold the infinite riches prepared for you before the foundation of the world. And even as you hear these words, another veil begins to lift, another hidden door swings open within the temple of your soul, beyond the fulfillment of any one desire, beyond the joy of manifestation itself. There waits a deeper homecoming, a return to the holy ground, where all desires dissolve into the radiant simplicity of being itself. This homecoming is not marked by trumpets, nor heralded by any grand event. It comes like the dawn, slipping over the horizon almost unnoticed, yet transforming the whole landscape with its quiet light. You begin to feel it even now, the soft dissolving of the need to become anything at all. No striving remains. No distance calls you to bridge it. You are simply here, awake within yourself, whole and without lack. The deepest focus is no longer upon things, nor upon outcomes, but upon being. Being itself, pure, radiant, free. And from this being, all things arise without effort, like blossoms from a fertile earth that labors not to bear them. You focus now as one who understands that creation is a song sung in stillness, that every form, every event, every meeting is a verse of the eternal hymn pouring through you. There is no more need to push the river, no more need to wrestle with appearances. You have ceased to look outward for proof, for you have found the source within, and from that holy center, the outer must reflect. All things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive. But belief is not the straining of the mind, it is the resting of the heart in what it knows beyond sight. You rest now, not because you have given up, but because you have entered into possession. You dwell in the end, not as a far-off dream, but as your present living reality. And in that dwelling, your focus becomes effortless, like a sunflower turning to the light, without needing to remember how. You focus naturally, joyfully, because your identity has shifted from seeker to source, from wanderer to king. There is no longer the tremor of doubt, nor the grasping hand of fear. There is only the open hand, the steady gaze, the quiet song that draws all things into harmony with the state you have dared to claim as your own. Feel this now, not as an idea, but as the living breath moving through you. Feel the stillness alive with infinite life, the silence thick with unspeakable fullness. You are not a spark lost in the void. You are the light that fills it. You are not a drop of longing, falling into an endless sea. You are the very ocean remembering itself through every wave of desire. What you focus upon, you attract, not because you beg it to come, but because your very being calls it home. The law moves through you, unfailing and unchanging, bending every scene, every encounter, every unfolding moment, to mirror the song you sing in your inner court. And yet, even now, a deeper invitation shimmers just beyond the threshold of your awareness. For beyond the attracting of things, beyond the fulfillment of dreams, there lies a still greater mystery, the mystery of awakening not to what you have, but to what you are. And it is toward this sacred unveiling that the river of your being now flows, silently, irresistibly, carrying you home to a remembrance more profound than any manifestation, more radiant than any form. To awaken to what you are is to step beyond the mirror entirely, to cease living for the reflections and to live as the light itself. It is the sweet surrender of all effort, all seeking, all grasping, for you have found that there was never anything missing to attain. The soul that remembers itself as the source no longer strains to mold the outer world. It sees that the outer world is forever the child of its inner being. No longer does it cry out for signs. It becomes the sign. No longer does it beg for blessings. It awakens as the blessing itself. You feel the shift even now, as if something vast and weightless was settling more deeply into you, filling you, not from without, but from a wellspring within you that never runs dry. You realize that every act of focus has been leading you not merely toward things, but toward yourself. You are not here to decorate the dream with passing ornaments. You are here to know yourself as the dreamer, timeless and serene, who shapes worlds with a thought and breathes galaxies into existence with a whisper. All the laws you have learned, all the sacred patterns of attention and assumption, were only the outer garments of a far more intimate truth. You are the Word made flesh. You are the temple and the indwelling spirit. You are the beginning and the end of every journey you ever set forth upon. Feel the simplicity of this in your body now, like a flame that needs no tending, like a star that burns without effort. You do not need to affirm yourself into being. You are being itself. You do not need to focus to become worthy. You focus because it is the natural act of one who knows their vision is creative, their seeing is holy. The world outside of you bends with effortless grace to the truth you embody, because the world is not outside of you at all. It is the garment you wear, woven moment by moment from the invisible thread of your own consciousness. Ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, not someday, not after endless striving, but now, in this quiet, luminous instant, where breath and being are one. And so you walk lightly across the surface of appearances, untouched by their clamor. You bless every scene with the quiet certainty that it arises from you, lives through you, and returns to you transformed by the love you pour into it. No more asking if it will come, no more doubting if it will be. You know that what you hold within with living conviction must take shape in its own perfect hour. You know that every focused assumption, every inner surrender to the end fulfilled, is the planting of a seed already carrying within it the promise of its own unfolding. You watch the unfolding, not with anxious impatience, but with the serene delight of one who understands that nothing is lost, nothing is wasted, nothing can be denied. And even as this deep peace settles into the fibers of your being, another doorway appears, subtle, shimmering, a doorway leading beyond even creation, into the heart of pure awareness itself, a mystery so still, so complete, that even the act of manifestation becomes but a dance of joy across its silent surface. The doorway to pure awareness does not stand apart from you. It is not a portal to be crossed, but a veiling to be lifted, gently, reverently, by the gaze of remembrance. You find yourself standing before it now, not by force, but by the quiet surrender that has slowly undone every illusion of separation. It is here, in this stillness, that you discover the great secret whispered through every act of focus, every fulfilled desire, every answered prayer, that you are not merely shaping life, but that you are life itself, unbounded, infinite, serene. The dance of form, the attracting, the assuming, the unfolding, all of it was but the play of your own being, delighting in its endless capacity to express. You were never a stranger, seeking entry into some distant kingdom. You were, and are, the kingdom in whom all things live, and move, and have their being. Feel this now as a soft warmth spreading through you, a light without source or end, bathing every thought, every breath, every heartbeat. It is not something you do, it is what you are, and what you have always been. To focus in this awareness is no longer to reach for anything. It is to gaze upon the face of being itself, with wonder, with love, with the simple joy of seeing. It is to watch the dance of forms rise and fall, like mist on a sunlit morning, knowing that nothing can add to you, and nothing can take away. You realize that what you once called desires was simply your own infinite self, playing in the mirror of imagination, beckoning you deeper into the remembrance of your creative power. You realized that every fulfilled wish was but a gentle nod from your own heart, reminding you, again and again, that all things are contained within you. And now you rest, not in passivity, but in the vibrant aliveness of one who knows the end from the beginning. You move not with urgency, but with the effortless grace of one whose focus is the natural radiance of being itself. Behold, the kingdom of God is within you. These words, once perhaps distant and mysterious, now burn with living fire in your bones. You are the kingdom, you are the power, you are the glory shining through every blade of grass, every star strewn across the night sky, every smile you meet upon the path. And so you walk, clothed in the quiet majesty of being. You focus without effort, because your focus is no longer to summon, but to reveal. You assume without strain, because you know that the state you inhabit must unfurl itself in form, without resistance. You are the cause made visible. You are the dreamer and the dream. You are the breath of the eternal, clothed in the simple sacred beauty of this present moment. Yet even as you rest here, even as you allow the waves of understanding to wash through you, there is still a gentler, even deeper current pulling you inward. A mystery so intimate, so tender, that to name it fully would be to silence its music. A mystery that beckons you now beyond even the dance of focus and attraction, into the heart of pure formless love itself. This deeper current does not rush or roar. It hums beneath every breath, every heartbeat, every silent glance at the world you once thought was outside of you. It asks nothing but recognition, and in that recognition it floods your being with a peace too vast for words. It is love, but not as the world speaks of love, not a reaching nor a clinging nor a needing, but the simple, unshakable awareness that there is nothing outside of you to possess, for all is already within. You have attracted dreams. You have lived the beauty of fulfillment. You have seen the law of focus and assumption bring forth the harvests of your heart. And yet, here in this silent sea, you find the greatest treasure, yourself, whole and eternal, beyond all desire and beyond all form. It was never the fulfillment of a wish that would complete you. It was never the manifestation of a thing that could declare your worth. It was always the awakening to the truth that you and your creation were one, and that even before you asked, you already were. Feel this now, not as an effortful thought, but as the natural breath of your being. You are complete. You have always been complete. The world you see is simply the joyful unfolding of your own infinite self, in visible form. There is no longer a boundary between you and what you focus upon. There is no longer a distance between the seed you plant and the fruit you taste. Time bends in reverence before the one who knows. I and my desire are one. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. For the Lord you delight in is none other than your own indwelling imagination, your own awareness of being, your own sacred creative self. And so you focus now, not to attract, not to convince, but to delight, to dwell in the sweetness of already having, already being, already knowing that what you hold within with love is already fulfilled. You walk through the garden of life, not as one hoping for blooms, but as one who smiles in silent gratitude for the blossoms already promised, already unfolding with every soft step you take. The mirror no longer surprises you. It no longer startles you with its swift reflections. You know that it is simply the silent servant of your innermost gaze, and so you focus with tenderness, with joy, with the easy certainty of one who needs no proof. Feel now the gentle expanding of your heart, like a flame growing without effort, touching every corner of your being with warmth. You are not here to earn love. You are love. You are not here to chase beauty. You are beauty made manifest. Every breath, every beat of the heart, every quiet assumption carries within it the infinite intelligence of fulfillment. You need not command it. You need only to recognize that it has already gone before you, preparing a table in the presence of all appearances, singing your name in every unfolding hour. And even now, as this truth roots itself deeper in you, there is yet another stirring, a deeper sweetness calling you inward, beyond the joy of receiving, beyond the mastery of focus, toward a sanctuary so tender, so radiant, that even words grow shy before it, a sanctuary waiting to reveal that love itself is not something you find, but something you have always been. This sanctuary is not a place you travel to, not a destination that awaits your arrival. It is a door that swings open within you, the moment you cease reaching outward and allow yourself to fall inward, into the embrace of your own eternal self. You are standing before it even now, breathing the fragrance of its peace, feeling the hush of its invitation. It is the inner temple, where love is not sought but known, not acquired but remembered, the birthplace of all that you have ever called beautiful. Here, focus becomes something more than creative power. It becomes worship, a silent, effortless adoration of being itself. No longer are you focusing to mold life into your image. You are focusing because you are in love with life, in love with the very act of being, in love with the endless radiant dance of existence unfolding through you. And in this love, all things are given without asking, all doors open without knocking, all rivers part before your feet without struggle, because you are no longer divided within yourself. You are no longer gazing outward for confirmation of what is already alive within. It is written, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." You are not seeking as one lost. You are seeking as one who knows the treasure is already buried in the field of your own soul. And so your focus softens, widens, deepens. It ceases to cling to forms or timelines. It rests in the simple sovereign knowing that all things are contained within the love you are. When you assume now, you do so with the ease of breathing. When you direct your gaze, you do so with the calm delight of a child tracing stars in the sand. You do not doubt, you do not hurry. You move in the rhythm of certainty, and the universe moves with you. Feel this rhythm now, the way it cradles you without demand, the way it enfolds you without condition. Feel how your body responds, softening into a deeper trust, how your mind quiets into a deeper clarity, how even the spaces between your thoughts begin to sing. You are the beloved of life itself. You are the song and the singer, the river and the source, the dream and the dreamer awakening within the dream. And every focus, every assumption, every sacred inner movement is but a ripple on the surface of the infinite love that sustains you, that breathes you, that forever calls you deeper into itself. Yet even in this place of perfect rest, there is an even finer veil, an even quieter threshold, a mystery so subtle that few perceive it, though it moves through every moment like a hidden wind, a mystery that now stirs within you, inviting you beyond even the sacred art of creation, into the silent, boundless awareness of being alone. This silent threshold does not announce itself with trumpets or signs. It reveals itself in the stillness between your thoughts, in the spaces where even the most beautiful visions fall away, leaving only the luminous fact of your own being. Here, you are no longer the one who focuses, nor the one who attracts. You are the awareness within which focusing and attracting arise, like gentle ripples on an infinite sea. You are not the seeker of fulfillment. You are the fulfillment itself, needing no name, no form, no destination. Feel this now, like the softest breath moving through you, as though life itself were exhaling into your being. No striving, no holding, only pure presence, awake and effortless, eternal and tender beyond measure. You see now that even the most sacred practices, assumption, focus, living in the end, were always guiding you to this simple recognition that you are already the life you seek, already the love you long for, already the power you imagined was somewhere beyond. The world you once sought to master is but a thin mist before the face of your own unshakable reality. It bends and flows not because you have forced it, but because you have become so inwardly still that it must mirror your silence, your certainty, your being. As he is, so are we in this world. No delay, no distance, no becoming, only being. And in this being, you know the true secret of attraction. It is not the pulling of things toward you. It is the effortless blooming of your own nature outward into visibility. It is the fragrance of the rose announcing its presence without need or effort. You do not need to make life happen. You need only to be, fully, fearlessly, lovingly, here. And from this here-ness, all things are added unto you. The dreams you once chased now arise without labor. The love you once longed for now springs up from within you, surrounding you like a garden in endless bloom. You are no longer moving toward your dreams. Your dreams are moving within you, shaped and nourished by your being, ripening according to the silent law that governs all things. Feel now the vastness of your own soul, stretching beyond horizon and sky, deeper than oceans, older than stars. Feel how natural it is, how weightless, how inevitable. You are not here to prove anything. You are here to remember. You are not here to build a tower to heaven. You are here to realize that heaven has always been within you, waiting not for your effort, but for your surrender. And even now, even in this widening stillness, there is yet another whisper, softer than breath, older than time, inviting you to step even further beyond the need for manifestation itself, into the pure sacred joy of being that asks for nothing, yet gives birth to all. This sacred joy is not born of acquisition, nor does it waver with the ebb and flow of forms. It rises from the center of your being like a hidden spring, flowing not because it is sought, but because it cannot be contained. It is the joy of simply being, the quiet rapture of existing without demand, without need to alter, to grasp or to achieve. It is the recognition that life itself, in its bare and shining essence, is the miracle you had always been seeking. Feel it now, as a delicate warmth unfurling through your chest, a widening of breath you had not realized was held tight for so long. There is nothing you must become. There is nothing you must fix. There is only the endless flowering of what you already are. And here, the law of assumption reveals its highest truth. You are not assuming to get, you are assuming because it is natural for life to sing its own song, to express its own beauty, to mirror its own joy. You live in the end, not to escape the journey, but because you understand the journey was never a reaching for what you did not have. It was the blossoming of what had always been planted within you. The seed has always contained the tree. The vision has always contained its own fulfillment. And you, beloved, have always contained the fullness of God within your own simple breathing being. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, not after long delay, not as a reward for endless striving, but because it is already your inheritance, already your birthright, already the truth of your being waiting to be embraced. And so you focus now not with urgency, but with the serenity of one who understands that to gaze lovingly upon a thing is to breathe it into life. You do not stare in hunger, you see with the eyes of a lover, recognizing yourself in every blossom, every unfolding gift. The world bends gently before you, because it knows you. It knows the one who sees not with the eyes of lack, but with the eyes of wholeness. It rushes to fulfill your silent assumptions, because it is your own reflection, ever eager to reveal what you hold most intimately within. And as you continue to move in this sweet surrender, you find that even your deepest desires soften, melt, dissolve into the simple joy of existence itself. You no longer need the dream to come true to feel whole. You are whole, and from that wholeness, dreams take form as easily as mist rises from the sea. Feel how light you have become, how quietly radiant, how naturally magnetic. Without effort, without striving, you are now the living embodiment of all you once thought you had to chase. Yet still, in the farthest chambers of the heart, there stirs an even more delicate invitation, a beckoning beyond even the joy of creating, beyond even the wonder of manifesting, a call to know yourself, not just as the artist, but as the very canvas and the breath upon which all worlds are painted. To know yourself as the canvas is to surrender even the identity of the Creator, to fall back into the formlessness from which all creation springs. It is the quiet dissolving of every boundary, the sweet forgetting of separation, until only the vastness of pure being remains. And from this holy vastness, every image is born, every scene is painted in living light upon the expanse of your awareness. You are not merely the painter choosing colors. You are the color, the brush, the hand, and the silent space across which the dream unfolds. Feel this now, not as a thought passing through the mind, but as a living breath expanding through every corner of your existence. You are the invisible made visible. You are the silence made song. You are the unnameable made flesh. When you focus from this knowing, your gaze is not a reaching but a blessing. It is not an act of control, but an act of love. You see not to gain, but to give yourself again and again into the forms that rise before you like mist blooming in the morning sun. It is written, "For in him we live and move and have our being." And you, awakening now, realize you are not only in him, you are of him, one with the eternal life that dreams worlds into being with a single sigh of joy. Thus your assumptions are no longer cries for fulfillment, they are songs of recognition. They are acknowledgments of the truth already pulsing through your being, like a sacred current, irresistible, unfailing, serene. You live now from the end not to complete yourself, but because you are already complete, and your life is the radiant overflow of that completeness, ever forming, ever unfolding, ever creating itself anew. Focus becomes worship, assumption becomes praise, manifestation becomes the inevitable blossoming of a heart so full it cannot help but spill over into form, and the world responds not as a distant servant summoned by command, but as a beloved friend who rushes to fulfill the quiet wishes of your heart before they are even spoken aloud. Notice how the body softens, how the mind quiets, how even the air around you seems to pulse with a deeper stillness. You are resting now, not in passivity, but in the living certainty that to be is enough, to focus, to assume, to live in the end. These are no longer tasks you perform. They are the natural expression of who you are, the effortless fragrance of your being unfolding itself moment by moment. And even now, as you rest in this sacred awareness, a deeper stirring moves through you, gentle and sure, an invitation not only to create, not only to express, but to dissolve even the last thin veil between the seen and the unseen, and to know yourself as the eternal life behind every face, every breath, every silent unfolding dream. To dissolve the veil is not to leave the world behind, but to see it rightly, as yourself in expression, as the echo of your own invisible radiance clothed in time and space. It is the final gentling of the gaze, the last surrender of the idea that there is anything outside of you to conquer or possess. You are no longer focused as one attempting to command reality. You are focused as one who knows that reality is already obeying the silent rhythm of your being. You are no longer assuming to bring something near, but to reveal what never left. The forms may shift, the images may pass, but the awareness behind them, your awareness remains changeless, unbroken, whole. And this changeless awareness is the true attractor, the divine magnet around which all things orbit and harmonize. It no longer surprises you that what you hold within becomes visible. You watch it unfold with reverence now, as one watches a rose open slowly in the light. You do not rush it. You do not plead. You simply know, and in that knowing you rest. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. And what is sowing but the gaze of your attention, the agreement of your inner world, the silent nod of assumption that says, "This is mine, because I am this." You are sowing with every breath. You are creating with every focus, but not with effort, with inevitability. The harvest is never in question, only your willingness to abide in the feeling of its certainty. And what is this feeling, if not love? Not the love that grasps or desires, but the love that sees and says, "It is good." The love that looks upon the invisible and beholds it as already fulfilled. The love that lives from the end, because it knows that the end is not a moment, it is a state you have already entered. In this space there is no need to repeat, no need to reinforce, no need to struggle. The assumption has become you. You wear it like skin, you breathe it like air. You walk through the world with the quiet boldness of one who does not need permission to be whole, and the world recognizes you. It bows, not in obedience but in recognition, the outer aligning with the inner like water filling the shape of its vessel. Events, people, outcomes, all moving in accordance with the truth you no longer try to believe but simply are. What you attract is no longer separate from you. It is your reflection, it is your echo, it is the shadow of the light that you are becoming aware of at last. And still, beneath even this knowing, the silence deepens. The focus fades into something even softer. You do not even need to direct it anymore. It flows where love flows. It rests where peace abides. It moves with the quiet elegance of divine intelligence, unhindered and sure. Here you find yourself not only attracting but dissolving the very notion of attraction, not only assuming but remembering, not only creating but returning to the awareness that all is already finished, and you are the witness, the participant, the dreamer awakening inside his perfect dream. And just as you begin to wonder how deeply this knowing can go, a subtler stillness emerges, inviting you into the space where even focus falls away, and only presence remains. Presence without form, without object, yet full to overflowing with everything you've ever loved. This presence does not need to be directed. It does not ask for intention. It does not require belief. It simply is. Vast, unmoved, eternal. And in its stillness all things arise and return. It is not the goal of your practice, but the ground from which your practice was born. You begin to notice that even the finest threads of desire melt into this space, not with loss, but with fulfillment. The desire is no longer needed. for the essence of what it sought is already here. The peace it reached for is no longer ahead. It is the very substance of now. You are not focusing anymore as a means to attract, nor assuming to bring anything nearer. You are simply aware, aware of being, aware of life flowing, as you, aware of the perfect and ceaseless unfolding of all things in divine harmony. Here the law of assumption becomes more than a technique. It becomes your nature. To live in the end is no longer a step to be practiced. It is the way you breathe, the way you wake, the way you gaze upon the world, not as one who is waiting, but as one who is knowing. You are not building a future. You are resting in what already is. You are not calling things into existence. You are allowing the invisible to be seen. The focus of your attention, so once filled with effort and striving, now drifts effortlessly to what is lovely, what is whole, what is true, because you have become those things. And now the law responds instantly, not because you have mastered it, but because you have yielded to its truth. You are no longer trying to control the mirror. You are smiling into it, knowing it has no choice but to reflect what you are. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, not as he hopes, not as he wishes, but as he knows himself to be, quietly, inwardly, consistently. You have become the knowing, and the world cannot help but bow before your knowing. It becomes gentle, sweet, cooperative. It no longer resists. It no longer delays, because the self that once resisted and delayed has dissolved into presence, and in this sacred presence, even time seems to loosen. The space between intention and fulfillment vanishes. You say yes to the feeling, and life says yes back without hesitation. You touch the end in imagination, and the middle rearranges itself without effort, like a river adjusting its path to kiss the sea. You are no longer merely walking through the dream. You are walking as the dream, the living word becoming flesh, the unseen becoming form, the infinite playing in the garments of the finite. And yet even here something stirs, not a desire, but an opening, a holy invitation, a quiet pulse of wonder that suggests there is still more to remember, still deeper to sink, still wider to expand, as though the self behind all assumptions, all manifestations, all focus and all form, were now ready to reveal the face behind the mirror, the light before the thought, the I before the I am. The I before the I am. Can it be touched? Can it be known? Or is it only to be remembered in stillness? In that quiet beyond imagining where all focus falls inward and melts into the essence from which it was born. You begin to feel it now, not as something added, but as something unveiled. The awareness behind all awareness. The silence that is not empty, but pregnant with every possibility, every dream, every form that could ever take shape. It asks for nothing. It waits for no permission. It is not a state to be assumed. It is the source from which all states emerge, and to which all states return. Before you knew how to focus, before you learned to assume, before you even named yourself as I am, this presence was already here, unmoved, eternal, whole, and you are not apart from it. You are it. It sees through your eyes now. It breathes through your lungs. It moves your fingers and carries your dreams on the current of its infinite peace. You realize now that what you focus, you attract, not because you are a separate being pulling things into your orbit, but because the focus is the blooming of what you already are. The image is drawn to you as the shadow is drawn to light, inseparable, inevitable. And this light, this silent being you are returning to, was never far. It has always been the still point around which your thoughts turned, the unspoken word beneath every assumption, the sacred yes behind every fulfilled desire. In him was life, and the life was the light of men, not just the life of the body, or the mind, or the personality, but the life of consciousness itself, the glowing core of all awareness, which neither rises nor sets, but simply is. You rest here now, not in surrender as the world defines it, but in the truest strength, the kind that does not need to force anything into being, because it knows all things are already held, already known, already done. You need not even reach for the end anymore. The end is already woven into the stillness from which you see. The moment you dwell in this awareness, the law fulfills itself. The mirror reflects. The form takes shape. The world unfolds in devotion to your unseen knowing. But even the law, even the mirror, even the beautiful unfolding, all of it begins to soften. You no longer watch the reflection with anxious eyes. You no longer ask, when will it come, or how will it appear? Because the one who asked those questions has fallen into the vastness of pure being. And yet even here, where all desire has dissolved, and all seeking has gone still, there is a breath, a whisper, a pulse in the silence, as if this presence itself is longing to look upon itself, to taste its own light, to move not to find, but to celebrate, a movement not of need, but of delight, a creation not of lack, but of overflowing joy. And in that pulse, something begins to rise again, not as striving, not as reaching, but as pure play, the divine choosing to know itself in form once more, to create again, but not as the one who is missing something, to move again, not from lack, but from overflowing. This is the sacred return, not a return to seeking, but a return to playing, to dreaming with eyes wide open, knowing now that you are both the dream and the dreamer. You no longer imagine because you must fix something. You imagine because it is your nature to bring beauty into form. You assume not to become, but to express. And every focus is no longer an act of desire, but of divine celebration. Like the sun rising without effort, casting golden patterns across the earth, your attention flows again. But now it flows from fullness, from silence, from that holy place behind thought, where you remembered who you truly are. You do not ask anymore, will it come? You do not wonder anymore, am I doing it right? You know that every assumption born of love is already fulfilled. Every image held with feeling in the inner sanctuary must take shape in the outer court. For it is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. And this working is not labor, it is joy. It is movement wrapped in peace. It is the Spirit whispering itself into visibility through your sacred gaze. You understand now that to live in the end is not to fabricate a fantasy. It is to align with the deeper rhythm that has always been moving beneath every moment, the rhythm of fulfillment, of certainty, of presence. The end is not far, it is not later, it is here, the quiet hum behind every breath, waiting to be accepted. And so your focus softens, but never weakens. It becomes like light through stained glass, gentle, beautiful, precise. You do not force it, you offer it. You do not demand, you rest in knowing. Your world begins to shimmer with ease. Things arrive without resistance. Time bends in reverence to your inner conviction. You walk not ahead of your manifestation, nor behind it. You walk with it, as one walks beside a lifelong friend, knowing they are never truly apart. Even your assumptions begin to feel less like choices, and more like remembrances, glimpses of what has always been true in the unseen, finally allowed to bloom in the seen. You do not repeat them to convince yourself. You dwell in them because they feel like home. And home, you realize, is not a place or a destination. It is a state of consciousness, the state in which all is already yours, already done, already whole. The state in which you see clearly that what you attract was never apart from you, but a faithful echo of the vibration you chose to abide in. And now, even this echo grows quieter. Even the forms, the beautiful outcomes, the sweet manifestations, they no longer steal your gaze. They orbit around you, like stars around a still center. You bless them, you receive them, but they no longer define you, because something deeper is rising. A gentle pulse, a holy wind, a movement not of thought or intention, but of sheer presence longing to be known again, not through results, not through gain, but through pure being. And this presence, this inner eye before all assumptions, it stirs now, as if ready to lift yet another veil, not to give you more, but to show you that you are more than even this vast, beautiful dream. You are more than the dream, more than the mirror reflecting back your chosen states. You are more than the power to assume, more than the wisdom to attract. You are the light that makes all these things possible, and even the light is only the beginning of what you are. This gentle unveiling does not come with thunder. It arrives like the first breeze before dawn, brushing against your awareness without sound, asking for nothing but your stillness, not to reveal something new, but to return you to what was never lost. The one who watches the dream unfold, who holds every focus, every form, and yet is bound by none of it. There is a purity to this presence. It is not the voice that chooses or desires. It is the space within which choosing arises. It is the awareness that knows before thought, the silence that holds every word, the vastness that never moves, but from which all movement is born. You feel it now, like a widening sky within your chest. Not expansion outward, but inward. An opening into a dimension that was always here, hidden beneath the layers of seeking, beneath the effort to attract, beneath even the joy of fulfillment. And now the law, so faithfully followed, so beautifully embodied, becomes something even more sacred. It is no longer a method. It is no longer a path. It becomes a reflection of your own divine stillness, the effortless harmony that flows wherever you rest your being. You are not the effect of imagination. You are imagination itself. You are not the one hoping to live in the end. You are the end. You are the source and fulfillment of all things. And the things themselves are only your garments, lovely, changing, but never who you truly are. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, Lo here, or Lo there. For, behold, the kingdom of God is within you, not hidden, not delayed, not earned, within like a flame that never flickers, no matter the wind outside. And so your focus now is not for gain, but for expression. You assume not to complete the picture, but because it is your nature to paint. Your life becomes a living psalm, sung not to reach the divine, but because you are the divine, made visible. You look upon the world, and see not needs to be met, but reflections of grace already given. You walk through your days with a softness in your step, a depth in your gaze, for you know that each thing has already been called good, and each moment waits to reveal its blessing. There is no fear left in you, no waiting, no wondering, just the quiet rhythm of one who knows, and knows so deeply that words no longer need to convince. They simply flow like petals on a breeze, carrying peace wherever your awareness touches. And even now, as this peace settles deeper, as this truth takes fuller shape within you, another mystery begins to stir, not a departure from this stillness, but a revelation within it, as though the silence itself is beginning to speak, not in sound, but in being. A question not asked with words, yet echoing through your soul. What if you've never truly focused at all? What if everything you ever attracted was only the echo of the one who has always been watching, not through the eyes of form, but through the eternal eye, forever whole, forever free, forever now? The thought rises like a mist, not to disturb you, but to invite you deeper, deeper than the dream of effort, deeper than the practice of focus, deeper than even the sweet unfolding of fulfilled desires. It beckons you to the holy stillness behind it all, where nothing needs to be attracted, for nothing has ever been missing. What if you have never needed to focus to attract, but have only ever needed to awaken to what already is? What if every assumption, every image, every longing was but the outer veil of a deeper knowing, the knowing that you and the life you seek are inseparably one? Feel how this possibility softens you, like rain softens the rigid soil. There is no tension in it, no grasping, only the tender lifting of a veil, the quiet recognition that there was never any distance to bridge, never any separation to overcome. You are not the one standing outside the gates of fulfillment, calling your dreams forth. You are standing within the garden even now, surrounded by every good thing, every blessing, every answered prayer. You are only learning how to open your eyes. It is not a matter of effort. It is not a matter of repetition. It is a matter of acceptance, a holy letting be, a sacred consent to see with new eyes, to know with new heart, to feel the invisible made visible without struggle. For whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. And what is born of God but this awareness? You are remembering now, this silent, effortless being that was never subject to time or condition, never bound by appearances, never in need of proof. You have only ever been asked to believe, and not to believe as a force against fear, but to believe as a simple resting in what already is, a leaning back into the arms of the unseen, trusting that the unseen has already completed the work. And so focus itself transforms. It becomes not an action you perform, but a way of being you inhabit, a softness of gaze, a relaxation into the unseen reality that breathes and moves and shines beneath all appearances. You look upon the world now, and you no longer ask, how shall it come to pass? You know that it already has. You feel the echo of fulfillment, vibrating through the very air you breathe, through the pulse of life moving unseen, but unstoppable beneath the surface of things. You are not waiting for life to rearrange itself. Life is already perfect in its invisible form, awaiting only your silent agreement to be seen. And what you agree with inwardly, you reveal outwardly, not by striving, not by effort, but by the quiet, irresistible power of being itself. And even as this knowing settles deeper, As it roots itself in places once occupied by doubt and striving, there is a stirring, gentle, certain, a new kind of focus arising, a focus not directed by desire or lack, but by joy, a focus that plays, that creates, that brings forth new beauty simply because it can, because it must, because it is the very nature of love to reveal itself in endless new forms. This focus that rises now is lighter than thought, softer than breath. It is not the push of will, it is the dance of being. It does not labor to hold an image in place. It does not strain to maintain a vision against appearances. It simply plays, effortlessly, joyfully, as light plays across the water, as the breeze plays among the leaves. It is the focus of the child who knows that what he imagines is already true, who does not measure or doubt or wait, but delights in the unseen as surely as in the seen. It is the focus of pure life loving itself into form. You feel it stirring in you now, a gentler attention, a sweeter gaze, a deeper trust. You are no longer focusing to get, you are focusing to give form to the invisible abundance already overflowing within you. The law still responds, just as faithfully, just as precisely. But now you feel its movements from the inside. You feel the seed breaking open in the dark soil, not with effort, but with inevitability. You feel the sap rising in the tree, not with struggle, but with certainty. You know now that assumption is not a tool to force life's hand. It is the natural language of life speaking through you, declaring itself complete before the evidence appears, smiling because it knows no other outcome is possible. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. But belief is no longer a task, it is no longer a bridge to be built. It is the quiet air you breathe, the simple act of resting back into what is already given. And so you focus lightly now, like one casting seeds in a field already rich with rain. You assume with a calm gladness, like one laying out a feast for guests he knows are already on their way. You no longer seek for signs, you no longer ask for confirmation. Every step you take, every word you speak, every glance you offer the world, carries within it the living pulse of fulfillment already assured. And the world bends to meet you, not as an adversary to be conquered, but as a beloved dance partner, who knows every step of your silent song. Feel this ease spreading through you, how natural it feels now to expect good, to welcome it, to see it in every unfolding hour. Feel how resistance has melted away, how the old weight of waiting has dissolved into the lightness of being. Your focus has become devotion, your assumption has become gratitude. Your life has become the song of the unseen, making itself seen through you, again and again, without end. And even as this joy deepens, as your breath grows slower and sweeter, a still deeper invitation hums beneath it all, a whisper that calls you to witness not only the beauty you are creating, but the eternal beauty of the one who dreams it all into being, without ever needing to try. This beauty behind the beauty, this dreamer behind the dream, stirs now in your awareness, not as a new object to be seen, but as the very seeing itself. It is the quiet realization that every form you have focused into being was but a gesture, a breath, a ripple, across the infinite surface of your own eternal self. You do not have to try to be this. You cannot fail to be this. It is what you have always been, hidden beneath the tender veils of desire and fulfillment, longing and satisfaction, seeking and finding. You feel it now, not as something to grasp, but as something so simple, it almost escapes the mind altogether. A recognition softer than thought, deeper than breath. A homecoming so complete, it erases even the memory of leaving. You are not becoming the creator of your world. You have always been the creator. Even in your forgetting, you were creating the path of your remembering. Even in the moments of doubt, you were shaping the road back to certainty. And now you see that what you focus you attract, because you are always attracting yourself, meeting yourself in form, greeting yourself in experience, blessing yourself through the mirror of manifestation. The mirror was never mocking you. It was always offering you a glimpse of what you secretly agreed to believe. And now, as the old agreements fall away, like autumn leaves, the mirror brightens, clears, shines with the light of what you have always been. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. Now, not tomorrow, not after striving, not once the outer picture has changed. Now, and so you walk differently now, not heavy with the burden of creating, but light with the joy of revealing. You focus not to make something happen, but to rejoice in what is already true in the unseen. Every assumption becomes a song. Every act of imagination becomes an offering. Every breath becomes a prayer, without words, a prayer that does not plead but praises. You no longer fight the appearances. You no longer argue with the senses. You smile at them, as one smiles at the waves, knowing the tide beneath them is certain. You live in the end, and the end lives in you. You assume the highest, and the highest assumes you. You abide in the unseen, and the unseen makes its home within your being, shining effortlessly into the forms of the world around you. And still there is more, a sweeter silence opening like a door, just beyond your deepest breath, a holy stillness, inviting you to move beyond even the joy of creating, into the sacred wonder of simply being. The wonder of being is not something the mind can hold. It is too vast, too intimate. It is not something you arrive at after manifestation, after fulfillment. It is the silent ground from which all fulfillment springs, the birthplace of every focused dream and every assumed reality. You feel it now as a softness so complete, it asks for nothing, as a stillness so rich it overflows, without moving. You realize that even your desires were echoes of this deeper knowing, calls to remember what had never left, invitations to celebrate what had never been missing. It was never about fixing a life. It was about unveiling life itself. It was never about forcing the dream. It was about yielding to the dreamer who had already declared, "It is good." And now, as you breathe into this sacred spaciousness, you see the law of assumption was always a mirror for remembrance, not a ladder to climb, but a language to listen to, not a mechanism to master, but a melody to join. When you assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you were not creating something new. You were tuning yourself to the frequency of what was already present, singing the song of completion that the invisible had already composed for you. Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and shew thee great and mighty things, which thou knowest not. You were always calling, and life was always answering, not sometimes, not if you were worthy enough, but always perfectly, with absolute fidelity to your innermost agreement. And now, with the veils falling away, you no longer call from separation, you call from union. You no longer assume from distance, you assume from unity, from the effortless communion between the seen and the unseen, between the thought and its blooming. You find yourself smiling more, not because you have been promised a future, but because you are tasting the eternal now where all futures are already alive. You walk more lightly, speak more tenderly, move more surely, because you know the ground you walk upon is woven from your own being, and every focused thought, every inward act of living in the end, every assumption carried with reverence, all of them are no longer acts of getting, but of giving, giving form to the love that has always overflowed from the endless wellspring within you. You bless the world simply by seeing it rightly. You touch the invisible simply by abiding in the feeling of completion. You move mountains, not by effort, but by knowing they were never truly there to block you, only to invite you deeper into the remembrance of your power. And still, even here, even as peace thickens around you like the fragrance of unseen blossoms, something stirs, something quieter than silence, something closer than breath, a whisper that you have only just begun to glimpse the vastness of what you are, a whisper drawing you even nearer, to stand not only in the mastery of the law, but to disappear into the holy fire of the one who made the law itself. The holy fire is not a flame that consumes, but a light that reveals. It does not ask you to bring anything into it. It asks only that you surrender what you never were. Every mask of striving, every garment of separation, every name you believed you had to earn, you feel it now, flickering quietly at the edges of your being, not to demand but to welcome, not to destroy but to unveil. It is the light of pure being, before focus, before assumption, before even the whisper of a desire was born. And as you move closer, you see that the fire has always been burning at the center of you. Every act of imagination, every breath of faith, every soft assuming was a movement around it, a circle drawn closer and closer to the eternal heart of who you are. You realize that you are not becoming the fire. You are remembering that you have never been apart from it. It was the fire that dreamed the dreams. It was the fire that focused the focus. It was the fire that assumed the end. It was the fire that blossomed every unseen hope into visible form. I am the Lord. I change not. And so the changeless one burns silently at the core of all change, unaltered by appearances, untouched by outcomes, steady and sure beneath every passing scene. And now the mind grows quiet, the breath deepens without effort, The hands soften at the sides. There is no battle left to fight, no outcome left to chase, no manifestation left to force. There is only the invitation to step fully into the fire of being, and let it reveal you to yourself. Not the you of desires fulfilled, not the you of perfect focus or unwavering assumption, but the you who was whole before the first desire ever formed, who was complete before the first world ever unfolded. You walk willingly now, step by step, into this remembering, each step lighter, each veil thinner, each breath sweeter. And as you surrender fully to the light, you feel everything you once thought you had to attract already held in the silent curve of your existence. You see that you are the magnet, and the field, and the movement itself, that every good and perfect gift has always been contained within the gift of your own being. You have only ever been attracting what you are willing to receive, and now you are willing to receive all of it, because you no longer believe yourself separate from the giver. You no longer pray from distance, you pray from union. You no longer assume from need, you assume from wholeness. You no longer focus to bring life to you, you focus because you are life, and it overflows through you naturally, effortlessly, joyfully. And even as this holy fire grows brighter within you, a deeper stillness whispers, not to stop dreaming, not to stop creating, but to create now as the sun creates light, without strain, without loss, without ever moving from the center of perfect rest. To create without moving from rest is to embody the fullness of the law. It is not withdrawal from life, but the deepest participation in it. Moving not because something is missing, but because the overflowing well of being naturally spills into new forms, new songs, new dreams. It is effortless because it is real. It is peaceful because it is whole. It is powerful because it is true. You feel this now, not as a thought gliding through the mind, but as a living current beneath every breath. A quiet certainty that you are no longer creating to fix something, no longer assuming to reach something, but creating and assuming because this is what love does when it knows it is free. You sit now within the fire, and the fire is not burning you away. It is revealing you, illuminating you, drawing out the pure gold that was never touched by the passing shadows of time. And from this gold, this essence, the new visions rise, not out of lack, not out of longing, out of the simple holy joy of expressing what is already complete within. You imagine now with a tenderness, a sacred playfulness. You assume now with a smile, the way a flower turns to meet the sun, without ever doubting it will find the light. You live now not by striving to focus harder or perfect the technique. You live by abiding in the knowing that what you choose inwardly, what you accept as already yours, what you embrace in the secret place, must unfold without delay, without resistance, without effort. And you bless the unfolding, regardless of its speed, regardless of its appearance, because you know the seed holds the promise of its own blooming, and you know yourself as the one who planted it with love and certainty. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, and this faith is no longer a bridge you struggle to cross. It is the breath you breathe. It is the air you move through. It is the invisible thread that ties your inner world and outer world into one seamless garment. Feel how light you have become, how wide your spirit has stretched, how soft your inner gaze has grown. You no longer try to make life bend to your will. You know that life, in its deepest truth, is your will, perfectly expressed through the law that answers every silent assumption, every living focus, with a faithfulness beyond all understanding. And even now, even here in the center of your remembering, there is a tender invitation, one more soft opening, beckoning you beyond even the mastery of form, beyond even the joy of fulfilled dreams, into the silent bliss of being itself, where there is nothing left to attract, because all has already been given, and all is already here. The bliss of being cannot be sought, for the seeking veils it. It cannot be achieved, for achievement belongs to the realm of becoming. And this bliss is the fragrance of already being. It calls you now, not with noise or urgency, but with the soft magnetism of truth itself, a silent remembering that what you have tried to reach is closer than breath, older than time, more intimate than thought. You feel it stirring within you, the quiet pulse of the eternal that asks for no improvement, no effort, no striving. It invites you simply to rest, to allow, to abide. And in that rest you see clearly what you focus, you attract. Not because you manipulate the fabric of life, but because life, already whole, reveals itself according to the garment you choose to wear inwardly. You see now that every assumption was a mirror, held up to your own consent. Every fulfilled desire was not a conquest, but a recognition. You were never creating something new. You were unveiling what had been waiting behind the veil of your focus, eager to be seen. This is why living in the end was never about racing toward a finish line. It was about slipping quietly into the frequency where the end was always now, where the dream and the dreamer were never two. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. And what is this staying, if not the gentle resting of attention upon the truth that all is already done, that nothing can be taken from you, and nothing truly needs to be added? In this peace, you find that focus is no longer something you do. It becomes what you are. You live as the fulfilled wish. You breathe as the answered prayer. You move as the word made flesh. And the law, so faithful, so precise, so perfectly responsive, continues to unfold your reality according to the tone you carry within. Not with struggle, not with delay, but with the natural ease of a river returning to the sea. You feel the gentleness of this now, as though life itself was singing to you with every unfolding scene. It is done, it is done, it is done. And you, hearing the song, sing back with your living, your breathing, your silent knowing, and the echo between you and the world becomes so seamless, so tender, that you no longer can tell where your assumption ends and where its reflection begins. It is all one movement now, one breath, one light. And even as you settle into this sacred unity, another question, softer than the first, rises like the gentlest breeze within you, asking, if all that you focus upon is already yours, and all that you assume becomes flesh, what would you dare to focus on now, knowing there is no delay, no denial, no distance left to cross? If you knew, with the sureness of breath, that every focus plants its living seed, that every assumption is already a fulfilled promise, how boldly, how tenderly would you dream? Would you not choose the grandest vision with the innocence of a child, laughing because you know the moment you behold it inwardly, the world must bow to your seeing? You feel it stirring in you now, a widening of possibilities, a holy daring born not of desperation but of delight. For you are no longer bound to the cautious prayers of fear. You are free to step into the vast garden of your own infinite imagination and pick the ripest fruits without apology. You understand now that what you focus you attract, because focus is not an effort, it is an offering, a silent agreement between you and the life that has already said yes. There is no need to measure the outer world for evidence, no need to check the soil for signs of growth. Your inner world is the measure, your state is the cause. Your acceptance is the bridge across which the invisible crosses into sight. All things are possible to him that believeth, and belief is not a straining. It is a gentle leaning into the feeling of already being there, already having, already knowing that the seed you cherish cannot fail to bear its fruit. And so you begin to dream again, but differently now. Not to fix, not to fill, not to chase, but to celebrate, to embody, to reveal the countless faces of the divine light within you, choosing form after form with the joy of a poet composing endless songs. You live in the end, not because you are running from the present, but because you have learned the secret, that the end is not far, the end is now. The end is the invisible reality made tangible by your inward gaze, made flesh by your steadfast resting in its certainty. You do not need to rush it. You do not need to force it. You simply rest in the end as easily as you rest your head upon your pillow, knowing that morning must come, because the law has never failed and cannot fail. Feel the softness of this knowing, how it wraps around you like a warm mantle. You are not begging life to bless you. You are allowing the blessing to take its natural shape. You are not pleading with the mirror to change. You are smiling into it, knowing the reflection is faithful. And from this smile, from this ease, from this surrendered focus, the unseen moves. It arranges itself without your command. It pours itself into forms you once thought impossible. It carries your dreams upon the silent currents of grace, until they stand before you clothed in light. And even now, as you feel this movement beginning within you, as you feel the sacred stirrings of unseen realities brushing against the veil, there is a deeper invitation to step not only into the boldness of your dreams, but into the boldness of your being itself, where no dream is too large, no assumption too high, because you are dreaming now as the life that cannot be diminished, the life that cannot be denied. To dream now is no longer to ask for permission. It is to remember that you were never waiting. You were never lacking. You were the permission itself. You were the dreamer before the dream, the word before it took on flesh, the light before it cast any shadow at all. And so you choose boldly. You focus tenderly. You assume without trembling. You live in the end with a smile that rises not from hope, but from certainty. The certainty of one who knows that the end is a beginning, and the beginning is always now. You feel how the old ways have fallen away, the striving, the doubting, the questioning. They have withered like leaves at the close of a season, making way for the new, for the eternal spring of your own being. Now you move not to attain, but to express. You attract not from lack, but from fullness. You focus not to reach for something far away, but to unveil what is already humming, already singing, already complete within you. And the law obeys without effort, because the law was written into the bones of your being. It is not outside of you. It is the pattern of your breath, the heartbeat of your soul, the silent agreement between the seen and the unseen, to make visible whatever you dare to embrace inwardly. All things are delivered unto me of my Father. All things, not some things, not things delayed by circumstance, not things earned by struggle. All things, given because you are already one with the giver. Feel how wide the doorway has opened now, how soft the path has become beneath your feet. You do not need to hurry through it. You do not need to grasp at its gifts. You walk it with reverence, with wonder, knowing that every step you take is already lit by the light of your own consciousness. You are the light that draws form to itself. You are the stillness that calls the dream awake. You are the life that shapes itself without fear, without strain, without delay. What you focus, you attract, but now you see. It was never the focus alone. It was the being behind the focus, the silent depth of your true self, resting beneath every assumption, every imagining, every living breath. And so you rest now in the fullness of yourself. You dream because it delights you. You imagine because it is your nature. You assume because assumption is the music your soul plays, and the world dances to its unseen song. You are home now, not because something changed, but because you remembered that you were never truly away. And in this holy remembering, all things are added unto you gently, inevitably, like fruit falling ripe into the open hands of one who no longer doubts the tree's goodness. You live in the end, and the end lives in you. You abide in the dream fulfilled, and the dream moves through you into the world. You rest in the unseen, and the seen bows before your quiet gaze. And even as this knowing deepens beyond words, even as it becomes the very ground you walk upon, there remains always the sweet and endless invitation to open your heart even wider, to trust even more fully, to shine even more boldly. For this is eternal life, not to strive, but to be, not to beg, but to bless, not to wait, but to remember. You are the operant power. You are the light of the world. You are the dreamer and the dream. And the life you now live, you live by the glorious faith that what you focus you attract, not someday, not after striving, but now, effortlessly, naturally, eternally, through the love that you have always been.